So, uh, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to lecture 8. So, in today's lecture, we are going to talk about destructuring, spread, and rest. And as usual, it's Victor Ukok that's going to take you on this class. So, let's look at what we are going to cover today. So, we'll find out uh, what array destructuring is in JavaScript. So, we would also find out what is destructuring in JavaScript. Then we'll talk about spread operators, and we are going to see some uses how you can use the spread operators in different scenarios. Then after that, we are going to also talk about rest parameters. So something I would like to say now is that the spread and the rest looks similar, but they differ based on where they are being used. Okay, so with that, let's start. So what is array destructuring in JavaScript? So array destructuring is a technique used to extract an array's value into new variables. So um, so we find out that we have arrays, and then if we want to pick each value of that array, right, we refer to those values using their index. But how about if it was possible for you to um, name arrays, and then there's actually a shortcut to do that without writing too much syntax? So that's what destructuring stands for generally. So having a big structure, you now make that structure smaller. So that's destructuring. So if you look at it, so this is an example of destructuring an array. So if you look at it here, without destructuring, this is how you would extract the values of an array. So I would say about me, Victor 22, fried rice, and I now say name is equals to about me with the index of 1, age is equals to about me with the index of 2, favorite food is about me with the index of 3. But here we can simply use array destructuring here. So I say let name, age, and food be equals to about me. So it's going to automatically map itself. So we see that name will be mapped to Victor, age will be mapped to 22, and then favorite food would be mapped to fried rice. So this is an example of what you can um, like the basics of destructuring destructuring an array. So that's basically it for destructuring arrays. So if you have an array and you want to extract features from that array, so that's how you actually take them. And so it's a shorter way of extracting values from an array without writing too much of syntax. So let's continue. So what is object destructuring? So object destructuring too is a technique used to extract objects an object's value into new variables. So it's also similar to array destructuring, but it's different in a way. So let's look at this. So without destructuring, if I want to pick each of these values and assign them to a variable, so this is what we are going to write. About me dot name is equals to about me dot name, age is equals to about me dot age, then the rest. So, and of course, if we console.log name, it will console.log Victor. But a shorter way of doing this would be to write name, age. So of course, these are variables. So you can name them whatever I want to name them, following um, the rules for actually naming variables. So you say name, age, favorite food is equals to about me. And then of course you can destructure um, You can destructure objects that are inside objects. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's so let's see. So if I had let about me equals to, then we have that, and then let's say we have details, then we say details. And so I want to show you how you can destructure an object that is inside an object. So for example, if we say name is Victor, maybe we say age is 22, for example. So you can destructure that by saying let name or maybe real name and maybe real age equals so if you console.log uh, real name, for example, if we copy this and paste and we run it, real name about me dot details. So so why is that happening? Okay, sorry, it has to be name and age. So yeah, so if we run that, we'll see Victor. But we can rename this. We can say name should be equals to real name, for example. So if I use real name here, we'll still see Victor. So this is something I failed to add. So you can rename your the parameters. So if I want to rename real age, I would say real age, real age is equals to that. And of course, if I run that, we'll see that real age returns 22. So this is actually a way of destructuring an object. And then if this was an array, for example, you can destructure them too. So uh, let me do this for an array. Okay, so just trying to make it pretty. So if I do this and change this to, so here you assign what you want. If you want real name, real age, of course, if we run that. Okay, sorry, I have about me the details there. So, but if we run this now, we'll see 22. If we try to log out real name, we'll see Victor. So, uh, okay. So someone says there's no audio. I hope all you guys are hearing me, right? Like the rest of you are hearing me. Okay, so Akachi, are you hearing me now? Hello, Akachi, are you there? Are you hearing me? Um, so try to rejoin the meeting. Okay, so yeah, so just try to rejoin the meeting. All right, so let's go on. So we've talked about destructuring, right? So let's move on. All right, so let's look at the spread operator. So the spread operator allows you to expand or unpack arrays or iterable objects. So in places where an element or key value pair will be expected. So what is an iterable object? So an iterable object is an object you can um, iterate through, like you can run a loop on and maybe get the the individual components of that object. So like an array is iterable. You can iterate through an array. You can iterate through an object uh, and the rest. So ES6 provides us with an operator, a new operator called the spread operator that consists of 3 dots. So this 3 dots is written actually before the variable name that you want to spread. So if you wrote River Nile here and all these other rivers, and then you want to add more rivers to this river, so you can do this rivers.push. So this is going to unpack the values of this particular more rivers array and add them to this river. So since you're using push, of course, it's going to add them at the end, right? So let's see how that works. So I'm going to do it with spread and without spread. Um, so let's fruits or let's countries equal to. So I say Nigeria, Togo, Ghana. Then I could say let more countries equal to so what do we put in there? So can put in Rwanda, Kenya, for example, and let's say India. So we want to we want to add we want to add more countries to the countries very array. So without if you did this, if you did countries dot push and you add and you just wrote more countries and you console.log out. I'm not spreading now. Yeah, I'm not spreading. I want to show you the difference. And then you console.log out countries. Run that. So what you will get is it will add the array to these more countries. It will just add the array to these more countries. It's not going to unpack these elements. So I guess network is acting up. So if we run that, we see that Nigeria, Togo, Ghana, then we see Rwanda, Kenya, and India as an array added. So it's like saying this array is added to this array, the more countries array is added to countries array. So which is not actually what we want. We want it to still be one array with these values. So if we add the what spread operator there, so we now have the whole countries inside one array. So you've seen that it unpacked the values of this array and added them, right? So that's how um, spread works. So let's continue. So there are a lot of things you can actually use spread to do. So let's see a few of them. So you see that you can use spread to concatenate arrays. So let's see. We just okay. So you can concatenate two arrays like this by using spread. So although I think we talked about concatenating before. So if I wanted to concatenate without using spread, I'll do countries dot concat. Then I would say more countries in there. So that's going to actually uh sorry. So let countries concat equal to that. So if I do that, yeah, so we see that it concatenates it. And also we can also do this. So we can declare a variable and we say countries and comma, then we say more countries. So if we console or log that, it still give us the same value. So you can use the spread operator to concatenate arrays. You can also use it to copy an array. So let's say if we want to make a copy of an array and then use it for whatever we want to do. So we want to safely copy an array. So you can also use the spread operator to copy an array. So like in this example, you see that let val equals to 89, 80, 70, and 90, and then, oh, so this is supposed to be scores, not val. So we write, so let me just do that quickly. So we can copy this array, for example. So we can say countries copy. Can say countries copy, and then we remove all this. Then we write countries. So I know it's not going to actually console or log anything. So if I console or log out the two I've done now, of course, we're going to see that countries is Nigeria, Togo, Ghana, and the copy of that country is also Nigeria, Togo, Ghana. And so instead of us messing around with the original source of the information, we can copy that information into another array and mess around with it without affecting the original source of the array or information we are getting. So you can copy an array like that. So sorry about this. So this place is supposed to be val here. So I guess I made a mistake there. So you can actually spread a string by using the spread operator. So of course we see it here. So we say let a equals to hello. Then we now console.log a. So we see that a is in this array square brackets. So the spreading hello will actually give you this result. So yeah, so that's then let's see. So you can use spread to add values to an array literal. So what is an array literal? So like this declaration here is an array literal because you're literally saying initial arrays with in the index of 0 should be literally equal to a um, at the index of 0, and it should be literally equal to b at the index of 1. So you can actually add characters to from this initial characters variable to a new characters variable. So we have some literals inside this character variable. We have C and D, and then we are adding another set of character literals. So into this, so this will give you this result. So having A, B, and C, D, and then you put initial characters here, you spread it, and then you so sorry about that. So let's continue. So I was trying to explain how you add values to an array literal. So adding values from this particular array to this other array. So this is how you do it. It also works this way. So you can push. For example, we pushed the values of num2 into num1, and then we have the result as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I hope everyone is following. If you understand to that point, just say yes, I understand. So I'll be sure you're following. So Bukola, are you following? Hello, hello, is anyone there? Bukola, okay. So I guess I just have to go on. So let's continue. So we've done this already. So let's also look at the rest parameter. So the rest parameter syntax allows us to represent an infinite number of arguments as an array. So, which means you can actually have, if you have, if you're trying to create a function in which you don't have is a fixed or a certain number of arguments, for example. So you can use the rest parameter. So now see the difference between a spread and a rest. So spread is mostly used with arrays, right? So it's mostly used with arrays to unpack the values of an array. But rest is used to get the arguments, like the value of this argument as an array. So the value of this argument can be a lot, can be plenty. So for example, here we see that we have the first argument here as a, and then we now use the rest method or the rest parameter here to get other arguments. So we console.log a and it gives us 1. So when we console.log other args, it gives us 2, 3, and 4 as an array. So of course, since this is an array, you can actually um, get to so another thing. Oh, hello. Okay, I hope you guys are now hearing me. It's like it's network. So, so let's continue. So what I was saying before is your rest parameter, for example. So let's go over this. So I was saying the rest parameter allows us to represent an infinite number of arguments as an array. So we see an
Share screen.
example here. Okay. Okay. So so um so let's continue. So what I was saying, I was talking about the rest parameter. I said the rest parameter allows us to represent an infinite number of arguments as an array. So you basically use rest when you're not when you actually want the person using your function to be able to pass an infinite number of arguments. So in this example, we have a as the first argument and we have other args as the second argument, and we are using the rest parameter here to get the value of other args. So then if we console.log a, what we are going to get is we're going to get 1 as an output because a is automatically mapped to 1. Then if we want to get the other arguments, now say you use this other args to get the other arguments. And then since these other arguments, all right, okay. So looking at this, we see that it's an array, which means you can loop through other args, you can loop through it, you can get the value of what you want. Like for example, 3 has the value of the index of 1, 4 has the index of 2, and 2 has the index of 0. So you can loop through this, you can get the values. So another one thing worthy of mentioning is that you can't declare the your rest parameter has to be the um last function or the last parameter you declare. So let's look. So if you try this, let's say you write function, maybe ask tests. So one thing you can't do using the rest parameter is declaring an argument after you declare your rest parameter. So let's say a, then you now write this args, and then you now put comma and write maybe c. So you can't do this. This is going to result in an error. If you try it, it's going to result in an error. So whatever your wherever you're using the rest, it has to be at the last as the last argument in your in the function, like you're passing as a parameter, it has to be the last argument. So with that said, we should check, we should go move forward. So I hope Bukola, you understand up to that point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So instead of like omitting yourself and saying it, just type it on this chat section. So I'm going to always read whatever I type here. Is that okay? So I hope you said you're following, right? Hello, Bukola. Okay. So let's continue. So then we look at uh, rest parameter example 2. Okay. So this function actually adds whatever number of arguments you pass in here. So even if you pass in like 20 arguments, and of course they have to be numbers since you're performing an arithmetic operation here. So you definitely, this function will definitely add all its parameters and return the result to you. So for example, 1, 2, 3 is parameter, and you know the sum of 1 plus, like if you sum 1, 1, 2, and 3, what you're going to get is 6. So you see that this function actually an output. So of course I already mentioned this. So the rest parameter, has to be the last argument because it collects all the remaining arguments into an array. So I already explained this. So writing a rest b, or writing this kind of function in which you have another value after what you've already used rest for example. So this is going to actually result in an error. Okay. So with that said, do you have any question? Hello, Bukola. Do you have any question? Okay. All right. So, so that's going to be it for the class today. So, thank you. Thanks a lot for attending the class. So our next class will be on Monday. So, thanks a whole lot. If you have any question, you can always ask it on the Slack channel. Okay. All right. So, thank you very much. Over